It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning, this is City Beat. I'm Matthew Higgs, and joining me in studio is Mayor Fenske. Thanks for coming in once again.
Good morning.
If you have a question you'd like to ask the mayor, give us a call at 677-8181. Well, the North Region experienced another blow this past week when Tolko Industries has announced they would be leaving the PAW, which would then be responsible for around 300 people losing their jobs. What are your thoughts on the closure?
Well, it's certainly not good news for the North, especially following on the heels of the Omnitrax and Port of Churchill and discussions and announcements by Omnitrax as well. So, yeah, it's a big blow to the town of the PAW, and our thoughts are with them. I've spoken with Mayor Jim Scott. We'll be speaking next week in regards to the northern strategy that we're working on, and hopefully we'll be traveling south to talk to the Premier in more depth on plans moving forward.
Does this affect the Thompson area at all?
Well, it does. Anything that affects the North affects all of us, and so there's trade and commerce between the PAW and Thompson, and so certainly there will be impacts in the case of Omnitrax, the starting route in the PAW. Coming through Thompson, it's affected us in regards to employment. Tolko, in regards to Tolko Industries, we've had former Thompsonites move to the PAW for work, so they definitely will be affected as well. And so, yeah, any impact of that magnitude will impact all of the North and Thompson included.
So with the Port of Churchill closing, Tolko closing, and a significant part of Valley shutting down in 2018, how important is it for the North Region to find other ways for economic development in the North?
Well, obviously, it's very, very important. We've been resource-based for a number of years, and the need to diversify in various areas. From the City of Thompson's perspective, we've worked hard since our announcement in 2010 in regards to the closure of the smelter and refinery, with the expansion of education services through UCN, the expansion of health services through the Northern Regional Health Authority, government services and transportation. We've had some hiccups there, most recently with Omnitrax. So it's all about being diversified and being able to take the hits from single industries. So similar to what Mayor Scott mentioned about the PAW, they have UCN as well. They have a strong farming component around their community, and so they are somewhat diversified. But anytime you lose 332 jobs, it's going to be a major hit to the economy. So from our perspective, Valley is remaining open, unlike Tolko. But there will be a reduction in workforce. There will be an economic impact in 2018, and we're working towards lessening that impact as much as we can.
Do you think the North Region is more diversified nowadays than it probably would have been, say, 10 years ago? If this thing would have came up and if it happened at the PAW, do you think the region would have been worse off back then?
Oh, for sure. The expansion that we've seen in the North is service orientated, whether it be health services, education services, transportation services. That's where the diversification has happened, and to a smaller extent, tourism as well. And so 20 years ago, a lot more dependency on single resource, and we've seen the impact of Leaf Rapids and Lynn Lake. And we've seen the potential impact in Flin Flon coming up with the 777 mine. We've seen a regrowth in Snow Lake after a few years of downturn. So definitely the North is resource-based, but in the same sense, we've diversified a fair bit to take some of the hits, and we'll continue to work towards that means.
There was a few meetings and councils put up for the Port of Churchill. Is there the exact same thing planned for the Tolko shutdown?
Basically, as I said, we'll be talking as mayors of the North to come together to plan a strategy that has already begun in certain circumstances with the province of Manitoba. We'll continue that strategy, and the biggest thing that needs to happen is that the people in the North have to have a say in what happens in the North, and so policies developed down south have to have input from the North, and that will be our mandate as mayors and chiefs of our region to be included in those conversations, and we'll see what comes of it.
Yesterday was a special meeting of council discussing a submission for funding towards a brand new handy van through the Public Transportation Infrastructure Fund. The first application for the grant was denied. Do you know the reason behind that?
Not sure exactly what the reason was why we were denied. I think it had something to do with the transit operation that we provide in our city as compared to others that got funding, and so it was declined as an application. We were given an opportunity to reapply with a short deadline, thus the need to call a special meeting of council. You have to serve 48 hours notice to the general public and council to have that. That was served on Monday. The meeting was held yesterday, and the resolution was passed to make the application to the second stream of funding. So that'll be done early next week, and we'll see where we go from there.
How different is this grant going to be if you guys get this?
The split is a little different. In the first application, the funding was between the province of Manitoba and the City of Thompson on a 50-50 split. This new grant formula includes the federal government, so it would be 50% from the federal government, 25% from the province, 25% from us. So it's a savings to the taxpayers of Thompson if this grant is approved. If it's not approved, then it's 100% cost to the taxpayers of Thompson.
Yeah, so would the city be able to pay for it if it was 100% for us?
Absolutely. We've budgeted for it in our discussions last year for the 2016 budget year, and we anticipated making an application, but we do have reserve funds that if the provincial and the federal side doesn't come through, that we would be able to pull from those reserves to purchase the handy van.
Yeah, why not just buy it outright instead of asking the provincial and federal government help?
Well, I guess the question would be if someone offered you $50 dollars or $75 dollars, would you rather pay $1 for something, or would you rather pay 25 cents?
Just to see all your options?
Absolutely.
Okay. Construction is still very much going on in the city, actually, right outside our front door, to be honest, too. Any updates on construction?
Yep. So for the Cree Road section, the road is open again, fully open. They've basically excavated and replaced the base and back up to a gravel base. The paving crew will be in a couple weeks, and then they'll shut down the Cree Road aspect again to do the paving. But for now, it's open. On the Selkirk Avenue, that is closed completely from the intersection of Selkirk and Cree around to the one-way, which is now a two-way public lane behind the post office and Northern Inn. And so that'll be closed as they do what they did on Cree Road, is excavate the road, rebuild it back up to a base in preparation for asphalt.
Last week, the Tragically Hip played their final concert, and it was broadcasted basically everywhere in Canada. Did you watch the show?
I did, and it was nice to see that the stats came out. It was that 1 in 3 Canadians watched that concert, so that was great.
So if you did watch the concert, if anyone else did it as well, Gord Downey made a public plea, basically spent a minute on it, talking about the hopes that Indigenous issues are dealt with the current government. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I was glad to see him. Of all the things that he could have said, and whether he could have talked personally about his illness, he could have talked about a million other things, but he zeroed in specifically on Indigenous issues in Northern Canada for us in Northern Manitoba. The Prime Minister was in attendance. He called him out in that regard in saying that they've made a commitment to improve Indigenous relations, and it's well overdue. We've lived and breathed Northern issues for many, many years, and so it was nice to see that it got the headlines, and hopefully it'll spur on discussions in recognizing the issues of all Northerners across Canada.
Yeah, it was a great concert, too.
Absolutely.
I watched the whole thing. It was a great 3 hours.
Absolutely.
And 3 encores. There have been a few reports in the city of kids breaking into cars, which seems to happen a lot. But one caller suggested, is the city going to address the issue, and could a curfew be brought into this town?
Well, I'll be upfront with the curfew. No, it won't be instituting a curfew. The advice that I would provide, and the RCMP have provided regularly to automobile and vehicle owners, is to lock your vehicles at night. This is not something that only happens in Thompson, Manitoba. It happens everywhere. And if you have a vehicle, make sure it's locked. If you have valuables in it, put them away, put them in the trunk, put them in the glove compartment. Don't leave things out that would entice someone to break into your vehicle. But at the end of the day, you have a locking mechanism on your vehicle. Use it.
School is just around the corner, and as I mentioned that, we hear collected groans from all the kids in the city and cheers from all the parents. But that's soon going to start. So will the school zones, which is something everyone has to watch out for. And they're scheduled to start on the 1st, which is a week before actual school starts So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so the reason that it starts on the 1st of September and it ends on June 30th is because that the school year fluctuates from year to year as far as an opening day. And so when the bylaw was put in place, it started on the 1st of September and it ends on June 30th. And again, it's from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it includes all of the elementary schools. It does not include the high school, Thompson Drive in front of the high school. And so just be aware that there'll be a week of learning curves for drivers to again adapt themselves to the speed limits that are in place again from June 1st or from September 1st to June 30th. So just be aware of that, and there will be an education process with RCMP and community safety officers. We'll also have a roving digital sign at various schools reminding people that this is a school zone. Slow down from 50 to 30 kilometers.
Do you think high schools should have the school zones around it?
That was a big debate, and the discussion at council and the decision of council was not to have it in front of the high school. So that's the decision of the council. That's the one we'll support, and so the school zones are in place for elementary schools only.
Okay, last thing. Are you going to get a teen burger today?
Yes, and I'm going to check out the vehicles. It's always nice to see, and especially today, it's a beautiful sunny day. What used to be the show and shine is now something at the Dub.
Cruising for the
Cruise at the Dub. And so great idea, and it's been around for many years. A&W has been a great supporter of it. And so encouraging everyone that has a vehicle, a car, truck, whatever, that they want to show off and shine up to bring it out to A&W and take a look. And those that just want to look at some nice vehicles, come on down.
I wonder if they would accept my 2005 Saturn. I think they would, eh?
They might.
They might. And just to bring information to everybody, it's Burgers to Beat MS today. $1 from every teen burger sold will go to the MS Society of Canada. Well, thanks for coming in once again, Mayor.
Thank you.
Coming in. That's it for this edition of City Beat. Make sure to join us every Thursday at 11:30 to find out what's happening around the city and City Hall. For 1029 CHTM, I'm Matthew Higgs.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning.